Castlevania is an immortal name in video game history that is held high with fans young and old. It all started with the first Castlevania in 1986, which was released on the Famicom in Japan, and then on the NES a year later in the US. I'm going to take a look at the forgotten ports of this highly acclaimed masterpiece. Let's start with the obscure DOS version of Castlevania. This version from Unlimited Software was released in 1990. It starts with a nice intro screen, which looks decent, but is still inferior to the NES version. To be fair, DOS-based computers weren't meant for gaming at the time. The PC speaker tune is faithful, but gets annoying quick. Once you start the game, you will realize the biggest flaw of this conversion, which is the sound. It uses the same PC speaker track and interrupts the music with loud, obnoxious noises every time you kill an enemy or pick up an item. This gets really annoying really fast, and I just want to turn off the sound completely after a few seconds of play. The graphics attempt to be faithful, which is a plus, but on the other hand, the animations are jerky and the frame rate is a mess. Simon's whip has also been lengthened, which isn't that much of a problem, but it makes certain secondary weapons unnecessary. On the plus side, the controls are decent, and it supports 2-button gamepads, which makes it control just like the NES version. Overall, because of the lousy frame rate, headache-inducing sound, and the subpar graphics, this port is very much inferior to the NES original, but still worth a try if you're a fan of DOS games or Castlevania in general. This port for the Commodore 64 is also made by Unlimited Software. Since the C64 is capable of better graphics and sound, I was expecting better than the previously mentioned DOS version. And I wasn't disappointed. The game looks somewhat different, but it's easily recognizable as Castlevania, especially in the color palette. The frame rate is good too, although sometimes there is some slowdown, which also tends to corrupt the sound for a short moment. It's nothing groundbreaking, but annoying enough to spoil the game somewhat. The most annoying features about this conversion is the fact that the enemies respawn as soon as you backtrack a little after an enemy has been defeated, a la Ninja Gaiden. The other problem is the control. You have one button to attack, and jumping is done by pressing up. In order to throw your secondary weapon, you need to hold the attack button for a little bit longer, which makes jumping and attack a pain. This limitation is because of the C64 had only one button controller capability for some reason, and because of that reason I won't count this against the game. Other gripes like disk swapping and loading time I will ignore because those are things normal to the system. On the plus side, the game allows you to save your game if you don't want to continue, a feature sorely missing on the NES original. Overall, this was a decent port, but I still prefer the NES original. This is the Amiga port, which was developed by Novatrade. One would think with the power of the Amiga backing this port, it would be an awesome one. Sadly, the opposite is the case. Even though the music is nice, often the wrong songs are played on the different levels. Of the 3 ports, this is the only one that fails at that. Also, one of the biggest problems is the overall low frame rate and jerky animation, which makes this game an eyesore. Even though overall the graphics would have been nice, this ultimately makes the rest of the game look like crap. Added to that, Simon Belmont looks like he's walking on eggshells. The sounds are okay, but could have been done better. The controls feel flimsy and the hit detection is the worst of all 3 ports. Combine that with the previously mentioned frame rate issues and you have a recipe for disaster. Also, it has the one-button controller problem like the C64, but with all its other flaws, it makes it just so much more worse. This is a horrible port by the book. I don't recommend it to anyone. The Amiga can do so much more. This is a case of lazy developers rushing an unfinished product for a quick cash-in. There you have it. All in all, I would say the C64 was my favorite, the DOS port was the second, and coming in at the very end is the dreadful, horrible, abysmal Amiga port. At the end of the day, I still prefer the superior NES version. Till next time, dear viewers, and may the Deathmog of Doom be with you.